Welcome back, legends. I hope you're all fantastic. We're going to take a look at Spark 40 today, which is Positive Grid's smart practice app, as they say. Basically, you kind of look at it and it looks like a little amplifier on there. You've got a mode selector here to select between a bunch of different amp models. You've got your standard amp controls. You've got onboard effects. If you've basically used anything in a guitar store that does, amp modeling and built-in effects over, say, like the last 20 years, this is going to seem pretty familiar. On the back, you have a little power input. It comes with a power supply. You've got an aux input, and you've got USB on there to do firmware updates and to record via USB. So this is a USB audio interface. The price on these depends where you're watching from, is the thing that's going to attract a lot of people to this. And I'm sure people are just kind of curious, like, what sort of sounds can I get out of this? So I want to break this video down into a couple of parts. The first thing, we're going to hear the DI output of this, and I just want to run through the functionality of this together with the Spark app so you can get an idea of basically the workflow on it if you want to use it as a practice app. Then we'll hear how these little speakers sound mic'd up with a dynamic mic, and we'll also talk about a few other features on there like the Smart Jam feature, and we'll wrap it all up and I'll just kind of let you know my thoughts at the end. And a full disclosure, this was sent to me by Positive Grid to try out. I've had it for about a month and I have tried to play it every day and just see how it fitted into my workflow. And basically what you're going to hear in this video is the summation of all of those thoughts over about a month using this thing. So again, thank you to Positive Grid, and thank you to everybody who supports me on my Patreon and by subscribing to the channel. Let's get into it. This first part of the video, I want to see if this does what it says on the tin. Does it work as a practice amp and a smart jam companion? So I've plugged my guitar into Spark. I'm actually just taking the headphone out straight into Pro Tools. Even though you can see a mic here, we will hear some mic tones later in the video. For now, I really just want to focus on the functionality more than the tones. We'll dive deep a bit later. Then I have my iPad over here, which I have connected via Bluetooth to Spark so that I can use the app and so that I can stream audio from my iPad to Spark. And what we're going to do is start out on preset number 1, and we'll just kind of dial in a basic preset. Then I want to bring up a jam track and play along. So preset number 1 is clean. You can access 4 presets from the front panel, which you can't see at the moment because it's facing the ceiling. I didn't set up another camera either, but this preset number 1, clean. That one has a pretty big reverb going on, and it kind of sounds wider than wide on there. It sounds like there's some phase trickery going on there, and you definitely get that playing out of these little speakers that are included in the amplifier as well. I find that with the reverb, it almost sounds like it's coming at you from all sides. Let's hear the second preset. This is like a Vox style thing. Pretty basic tweaking stuff there, just using the iPad. If you're familiar with bias, this whole interface will make sense. Just turn the gain down, change the compressor and the delay. Let's go to the third preset on here. This one's called Plexiglass, a Marshall style thing. That's probably my favorite preset straight out of the box. And then preset 4, I've played around with a little bit. It's a recto style thing on there. I'm actually going to turn the compressor off really quickly, and let's kick in an overdrive in front of this. So I'll turn the level up, overdrive down, tone just to kind of de-recto it a little bit. Does that make sense? Directo. What's wrong with me? Now, I could, of course, choose between a whole bunch of different amps in here. How many amp models do we have? We have 33 in there at the moment. One that I really like the sound of is this BE101. I'll turn the drive pedal off here and just quickly crank this up. Whole bunch of other amp models based around the amps that you get in the other Positive Grid products like Bias. But you know what? Let's just roll with preset number 3. I'm not going to tweak it at all. What I want to do next in the app is hit this little music icon down here. And there is a Smart Jam feature which will generate backing tracks at different tempos with different styles. Or you can just search tracks on YouTube. For example, I could look up one of my own backing tracks on here. I figured this is probably the easiest way to not get a copyright strike and also toot my own horn at the same time. So you can find this particular backing track here. Now, this is a track that I made with some synthesizers and some programmed drums and uploaded a few years ago. I didn't put any information about the actual chords in there, and you will see a menu in there which basically auto-generates the chords, so you can just kind of jam along. So let's do that. I'm just going to press it and play. carried away there. I hope you enjoyed that extended jam. Of course, there's timestamps in here, so you might have just skipped it. But what I ended up on was this SLO 100. I want to save this, so I'm going to save it as a new preset right here. Let's just call it something really original like LTSLO. That one will do the trick. And I'm going to save that right there. I can set the genre. I guess, what is this, like a kind of rock preset? Let's do that. So that's saved. What I can do next is I can come down here and share it to the tone cloud, so anybody using Spark can grab it. I could add some tags down here. I'm too lazy to do that. Let's just hit share. And then if you want to play along to that backing track with that particular sound, I can come over here and you can see down here that there is this little tones section. So you could play along to the chords, or I can share one of my presets. Let's share this current preset and put it up there. I might have to change the name. Okay, that preset already exists, so I don't want to do that. I want to share my tone cloud preset, and let's do this LTSLO. So if you find this backing track on the Spark app, you can just immediately hit that and have those same settings and play along to that backing track. That's kind of cool, I think. And let's just use an example of that. I am going to navigate to, let's play a ragdoll song. Again, I'm tooting my own horn in this entire video. So we'll do, I don't know, follow the leader. I'll bring it up, I'll change to my drop C guitar, and I'll just load up the tone cloud preset that I've matched to that. Okay, so I've got the track ready to go. I'm still using that SLO preset. Let's download this particular preset here. I'll hit save and that will automatically load it. This is just a big angry boosted recto. And now I'm just going to press play on the song and play along. I can set the relative volume level of the track and my amp using the little volume control here on the top of the actual amp. So I might have to tweak that, but you know, let's play along to a ragdoll song. These auto-generated chords obviously aren't going to be an accurate tab of this particular song where I'm playing weird stuff in drop C, but it's actually getting most of the root notes on there. It's recognizing stuff like that B flat 5 power chord on there. So it's a pretty good starting point. If there's a song that's by a bunch of nobodies like this song is and you really want to learn it, it's going to give you a really good first guess. You can also slow this down. I can bring this down to say 0.8 speed if I wanted to relearn the guitar solo on here, and I can loop sections as well. There's also this little capo function to change the tuning, which is kind of cool if you don't want to tune down to drop C. You could do it in drop D or something. So I'm going to do this next section at 0.8 speed and just see if I can remember any of my own licks. There's this smart jam feature in here where you can have auto-generated backing tracks in different styles, or you can play a phrase into this or some chords. It will detect the chords and generate a backing track in that style. Let's try this. It says you can jam with Dave, you can jam with Sharon, or Shazza as we would say down here, or you can jam with Charles. Let's have a jam with Shazza. You can tap the tempo in. I'm just going to leave it here, and then it's going to click you in, you play your chords, it will generate a track and you can play along. So let's see how well it tracks some minor 7th and major 7th. How well does it do? Let's test it. Oh, we got him. it does sound a little bit karaoke to me, and you know, I would most definitely just kind of go through the really high quality backing tracks played with virtual instruments or real musicians, probably any day over that. But I would put myself in that mindset as well, as like if I was starting out and I had a couple of chords and I wanted to write a song, that's kind of a fun little way to get into that without having to learn how to use a DAW or something like that. You can just play it in there. You're going to get an idea for an accompaniment. I probably wouldn't use it that much, but I'm sure if you're starting out, it might be a fun little way to just kind of understand or get some ideas for arranging in there. So that's a little Smart Jam feature in there really quickly. Now you can certainly operate this without the app, but I think the point is that if you're watching this video, you at least have a computer, or you know how to use a phone, or you're in some way engaging with social media, and you know, it's not that much of a stretch to like tether your phone to the Bluetooth on this and twist a few little virtual knobs and sync up a backing track and actually sit down and play and practice. That's sort of the point. The slower speeds on there and the capo function make it useful as a transcribing tool as well. It's obviously not going to be as good as a dedicated transcription tool, but actually using your ears to learn things is one of the things I try to drub into all of my guitar students, no matter what the level is. So I'm kind of on board with that being about as detailed as it is. Like you want to learn, like I said, a ragdoll song, a song by a bunch of nobodies, and you just want a good starting point. You're like, looks like this is suggesting that it's in C, and you can start from there and go. Having a kind of ballpark guitar tone on there is pretty good as well. But we should talk about the experience of playing through the speakers of this. All of what you heard was the headphone output. I'm super lazy, and it's just easier to record those things that way and not have to worry about like the backing track getting filtered through a microphone as well. But I'm gonna start with this tread plate tone that I've got. You're gonna hear the direct tone. Then you're gonna hear the sound of this left speaker close mic'd with this Sennheiser E609, a very popular guitar microphone. I have the master volume just above halfway on this. It's gonna be radically different. I actually think you probably get a better idea of the in the room tone from the DI out, but a lot of people are gonna wanna hear this thing mic'd up, so let's do it. Starting with the DI. Let's try out a few more amps. I have got this mic'd up, so I'm using the internal speakers again. This is a Blackface Duo. I kind of like it where it's set, especially on the neck pickup for this guitar. And that's nice hitting it with a drive. I like that you can set the delay to either milliseconds or beats per minute, and you have all your favorite subdivisions in there. There's a tap tempo button on the front, so if I tap that one in there, I can get a dotted 8-note delay. Next, let's hear the Blues Boy amp with this vintage delay model on there. I'm then gonna kick in this Klon style drive on top of it. Now that we're running direct again, let's hear a really big reverb on here. I want to see if I can kind of dial in a nice big ambient sound on here. Let's go Hall Ambient. and I'm gonna select maybe I'm guessing it's like a Roland JC120 model in here. We'll turn the drive off and we'll kick in, what compressor do I like? I think I like this optical compressor here with the compression cranked up and the volume cranked up. Let's hear this combination for some clean stuff on the neck pickup. So there's no real surprise there that this 4-inch speaker, when mic'd up, doesn't sound like a 4x12 mic'd up. Like I said earlier, I think the DI clips that I made are actually a little bit closer to the sound of this thing in a room. And you know, these don't sound totally flat. They don't sound like my Atom Studio monitors or anything like that. I wouldn't expect that at the price point. And the price point is really the killer feature on this. I think for the price, it's not that much more expensive than like, you know, a decent consumer level Bluetooth speaker that you can buy from like some hi-fi store, and you get a copy of BIOS built in. It does USB audio so you can record with it. It comes with a free copy of Studio One. You know, I would not hesitate to say to any of my students who are just starting out or who are intermediate players, it's like, if you're thinking about getting one of these and you got the money, just go and do it. I think the only other thing out there like that, that does some similar things, they don't totally overlap, is the Boss Katana series. You know, the Katana has a much more powerful power amp on it that can drive a cab. It's kind of more geared towards being used as a rehearsal or live solution, whereas this is definitely hitting that practice point and recording setup kind of sweet spot. And you know, I have some complaints about it. I wish it had a line out, a 1/4-inch line out on the back, so you could run it to a power amp, or you could use the little power amp in it to drive a 4x12 or something like that. I don't mind using the headphone out to go direct. There are a few little things in the app where it lost communication a few times, but you just kind of have to press one of these buttons to restore that. And that's more an issue that I have all the time with anything that does Bluetooth. But again, at the price point, you know, you're not going to be getting an Axe-Fx at this price point. You're not going to be getting a set of Atom Studio monitors at this price point, or a fully featured version of Studio One or Pro Tools. It's a value proposition there. And if you're somebody who's starting out on the guitar, or you're an intermediate player, or you're someone like me who already has all the toys, but sometimes you don't want to take your toys and put them in your car when you go camping or something, this works. This does the thing. So again, thank you to Positive Grid for sending this out to me. I would love to hear from all of you. Have you had any experience with the Spark? Is it something you would recommend? Do you have a, you know, relative who you would get this for as a gift if they're just getting into playing guitar and playing music and you kind of want to encourage them? Is it something that you would just kind of look at it and go, you know what, Leon, I'm like you, I've already got all the toys, I don't need this little thing? And let me know what you thought about the tones that I pulled out of this thing. As always, if you want to support the channel, there are links to my Patreon and the music I make in the video description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.